Hello and welcome to Magical Travel Adventure. I am Lauren, your host, and today I am joined with fellow travel agent Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Hello. Hey, thanks for having me.
So, Sarah is here today to talk to us about her whirlwind trip to Disneyland Paris. I don't know how else to describe it.
It was a whirlwind indeed. So yeah, I had 36 hours. I had like 36 hours between when work ended on a Friday afternoon in London to the time that my plane took off also in London. And so I was like, can we fit a Disneyland Paris trip in here? And I thought it was much closer. I thought London and Paris were a lot closer to each other. They're not. It's doable, but it was a tight timeline for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself before you tell us all about your trip?
Yeah, sure. So my name on here is Sarah J. Mack, but my name is Sarah. I am also an agent at Carry On the Magic Vacations with Lauren, and my specialties are really around the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser and the Disney trips surrounding that. So I've started to branch out a little more. We've done some Disneyland trips, and now I've been to Disneyland Paris, so I'm a little more comfortable with that one. But yeah, my main focus, if you can see, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So that's my happy place.
Very nice. All right. So, do you want me to start your slides?
Yeah, sure. So
Okay.
I made a slideshow of my trip. But I try to keep it to like the high points and the interesting points. It's not like here's me eating a baguette. So going from London to Disneyland Paris is an adventure in itself. The way that I did it, and you can see in this video here, where my friend drove us most of the way, and we were literally driving our car onto a train in this video to go through the English Channel or the English Tunnel. I don't remember exactly what it's called. Anyway, it's like a tunnel underground between France and England. And yeah, I did not expect it was going to be like that. I was like, how do you drive onto a train with a car? Like this felt like a Mission Impossible, like James Bond thing. But to get to that point, I ended up taking a train from London closer to the border, and then she picked me up there and we drove. So once we got off in France, we drove for like another, I think, 2 or 3 hours, and then we were in Disneyland Paris.
Wow, I didn't know it was that much time in France. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize it either. So we didn't land at our hotel until like 2 a.m. And then we were up bright and early the next morning to be there we had scheduled a character breakfast before the park technically opened so that we could maximize our time there. And so we were at the parks before 8. Yeah, it was a lot, but there's other ways you can get there. So like I also had a friend that lives in Ireland, and she's there right now. She's in Disneyland Paris right now. She took a flight from Ireland to the Charles de Gaulle airport, and then there is a train in the airport, and it's a 10-minute ride over, and it literally takes you to Disneyland Paris. Like you don't have to cross any streets. It's on property. It's amazing. But yeah, getting there was just an adventure to say the least. So then we
I
got
remember
there.
following it. So, yes.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. It was a very, very, very long day, followed by like a full day of travel to get back to Texas, but it was completely worth it. But a few things to note about Disneyland Paris is everything is on one property, kind of like Disneyland. It's bigger than Disneyland in that there's more hotels there. They also have like a downtown, I think it's a Disney district is what they call it. And then they have 2 parks, and their main resort is the Disneyland Hotel. And it's literally, you have to walk under the hotel to even get to Disneyland Paris Park.
Oh.
So all of the rooms on the backside of that resort just look over the park. Like, how amazing is that? Why don't we have something like that?
Yeah.
Like you're in the park just about. It's incredible. But then you go through the park, or you go, under the hotel into Disneyland Paris. And this is the front of the train station. So there's a big area in front of the train station even, and you can see it. And that's why I picked this picture. You can walk right through the middle of the train station. It's not like Disneyland or Disney World where you have to go left or right. you just walk right under it. It felt really nice versus like it felt like, when you're at Magic Kingdom, you feel like you have to pick away. This one, you just kind of, you go through and you're there, and there's not this huge like castle reveal necessarily because you're coming from a side entrance. And so I'm curious why they designed it like that, but it felt nice. But we like stood here and we took pictures, and you can see the 30th anniversary logo that they have going on right now for Disneyland Paris. And it was beautiful. And then we walked right through the middle, right under the train station. And there's a crowd of people on the other side, and they were looking up and turned around, and there was Mickey and Minnie just waving to people at the train station like they do. But you're just like, it was great. It was, I don't know, it was a magical thing. So then we go down Main Street, and then there's the castle that you can see here. And it's absolutely gorgeous. It is bigger than Disneyland's castle. I don't know that it's quite as big as Disney World, but it didn't feel like they plopped a castle in the middle of like a concrete slab. It felt intentional, and it felt like a park was built around this castle that they found, because it has like, this hill that it's on and all these landscaping, and they just give the castle a lot of space. Like you can see the trees around it aren't very tall. Like they really did use really good like forced perspective tricks on your eyes to make it look like this beautiful grand castle. And there's a moat. Like it felt, I know we have moats on the other ones, but it truly felt like a castle. And maybe probably because you're in France, so there's castles everywhere in France, but this one I feel like they really did a good job of not just the castle itself, but the surroundings of the castle, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, even just around it, there just seemed to be so many like trees.
Yeah. And they're cut like little rectangles. They were so cute. And they decorated it so beautifully for the 30th too. Like you can kind of see there's little wire sculptures down there. But then they just had like beautiful flowers and just everything. It's just a gorgeous, very grand feeling park. And like you see it and you instantly fall in love with it, because it's gorgeous. Like you can't not look at it and just be like, oh, like I want to buy all the merch of you because you're so pretty, little castle.
I know.
But so a couple of other things about the castle is like in Disney. Okay, you can go back to this one, to the next slide. Okay. Like in Disneyland, you can go in the castle and see the story of Sleeping Beauty. But on this one, in the basement also, there is a dragon. And so the video on the right side of the screen is the dragon, and it's a full animatronic. It's in this like little like green eerie moat with all this fog. It's really dark in there. Like my phone captured it brighter than I could see it in person, but it sleeps for a long time, and then all of a sudden it like gets up and it starts. What do dragons do? They roar? Do they growl? I don't know what they do. Whatever sound they make, right? Yeah. They roar. But it starts roaring at everybody, and I mean it's really moving. Like it. I was shocked. I thought it was going to be one of those things where it was just like a beautiful sculpture down there, and that was it. And you're just like, oh, the dragon's sleeping. But no, it like wakes up and gets angry, and it does that for maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds. And then eventually it comes back down and it goes to sleep again, and you just hear it like breathing. But that was really neat underneath the castle. And then when you're in the castle, there's a staircase where you can go up. And those are the pictures you see on the left side of the screen. The one on the bottom with the trees, that's when you're in, like you're walking through the castle, and you go up, and there's a whole area up there where it's got these beautiful tapestries. It has these stained glass windows. It has a fireplace with like the spinning wheel burning in it. It tells the whole story similar to how they do at Disneyland, but just in a different way. And it was an attraction. It just felt like an attraction that you go through. And then once you get through the story and you walk all the way around the circle, because they kind of lead you in a certain direction to walk around it. Once you're done walking around it, there's a door, and you go out the door and you're on the balcony of the backside of the castle, which I don't know that there's anything like that.
No,
this is. No, I think
fun. It's nice that you like use the castle, because I think like at Disney World, that's one of the things that people are like, okay, I walked through, but that's it. And you can eat if you have a reservation there, but yeah, there's not like interaction in that castle.
Right. Yeah, and that's what was I think that's what made this castle so special is that you have the upstairs with the story, but you also have the downstairs with the dragon, and then it's also just so grand and so beautiful. Um, so I get why people love that castle in particular. But this is some close-ups of some of the landscaping that they have out for the 30th anniversary. So they have a bunch of the different princesses, and then I included one picture of Stitch in there. But it's like garden art, I guess. I don't know. I'd never seen anything like it before, but it was absolutely beautiful. And so they're kind of abstract versions of different Disney characters, and they had them all throughout the hub. So they had Baymax, they had Moana, they had Eve, they had the aliens from Toy Story, and then they had the ones that you see here. But I mean, there was probably at least 20 of these sculptures around, and they created them for the 50th. So instead of or the 30th. So like in Disney World, we have the 50th anniversary statues throughout the 4 parks. Here they have this, but it's not necessarily like branded for the anniversary. So it's something they could keep up if they wanted afterwards.
Hopefully.
Or if they could just sell miniature versions of those. Could you imagine? I mean, everybody would buy them.
Yeah.
I wanted all of them, but they're huge. They're like massive. Like they look tiny here, but they're probably like 4 and 5 feet tall each.
So not in your carry-on?
No, not in my carry-on. That was actually a really hard part is that I was visiting a Disney park for the very first time, and I had already been in London for a week. So I didn't have a lot of room in my luggage. So I had to be like, what are flat things that I can buy that I can like shove into my suitcase?
Right.
So this is at the very end of the night. So yes, Disneyland Paris is amazing. The attractions are a lot of fun. The lands are a lot of fun. But one of the other things that they're doing specifically for the 30th anniversary is called a drone show. And it's right before the fireworks, which crazy enough, this picture was taken at 11 p.m. and you can still see at the very bottom by the castle that the sun was still up. They had to do it at 11 p.m. because it doesn't get dark until really late at night. But the drone show, I think it was about an 8-minute show where there's castle projections and then they have these drones. And so if you can look really closely, you see that 30th anniversary kind of Mickey in the sky. Yep, right there. And so the drones come up and then all of a sudden, boom, it got the 30th anniversary logo. If you go to the next slide, they do another one where it's kind of like the rainbow kind of arch, like the wish upon a star. Like those are a little closer images of the drones themselves. But it's specifically for the 30th anniversary. It leads into the fireworks, and it's just a really fun, completely different nighttime entertainment than what we've seen before in a Disney park. And I think they implemented it. I think they only did it for the premiere, like the media night of Avengers Campus. I haven't seen if they've done it since then, but they did do a drone show over in their other park, which we'll get to, I think, next. But yeah, the drones were amazing. So after that follows the fireworks. Fireworks are like your typical 20-minute thing. The fireworks are okay over there. They're not. The drone show is really what steals the show. They're not American parks, so they didn't have a ton of fireworks like you would expect at Magic Kingdom. It was a lot more of like projections on the castle and the music, and they had it segmented to like maybe 5 or 6 different movies specifically. And then they would do little fireworks at the end of each of those segments versus like Happily Ever After or Enchantment, where it's a medley of different songs and like crossovers. And it's just an entire story the whole time. So drone show, amazing. The fireworks, they're okay. They're good. They're worth watching. But the drone show was just
the thing to see.
It was the thing to see. So yes, there are 2 parks. Walt Disney Studios is the other park. So where Disneyland Paris is this beautiful, lush, well-landscaped, really sprawled out park, Walt Disney Studios is very much its opposite in that it is a very small park. I think it was built as like a half-day park, and there's just a lot of open concrete everywhere. There's not a lot of landscaping, unfortunately. So when you enter the park, you see on the left-hand side, you see the studio gates, and they really did try to make it seem like you're on a studio lot. So you have those, you do go left or right to go in, and then there's just a little courtyard there with a little fountain, and then you see the studio building, like the big studio building, and that's how you actually enter the park. There's a few like gift shops and like guest services out in this courtyard, but once you go through the park, that's where you start your park experience. So I think I included a picture when you walk inside the studio building. It's a lot of gift shops and there's some dining in there too. So it feels like, I don't really know what it was going for, but I don't know that it feels like you were in, I don't think it's supposed to be like you're in a studio, because it also kind of seems like it's like late night in like a Hollywood street, right? Because there's a street in the middle of it. And you have Brown Derby, you have the big gift shops on like the left side, and then you've got some dining on the right. They have like kind of a face painting booth, but it was like a mix between like a Bibbidi Boppity and a face painting, which I thought was nice because it seemed faster, and it was more of just like a walk up, like you didn't have to make reservations in advance and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was very strange. I was like, where are we? Like, what is this? So we didn't hang out too much in there. Did some shopping, as one does when you're in a Disney park, but right, you have to. I think we hit every single gift shop. But yeah, so once you walk through that building, this is what you see. And I didn't take a lot of pictures in this park, but it was mostly stuff like this. Like you walk through and you see Tower of Terror straight ahead, and then there's this street that goes back a little bit, but there's really not that many lands yet. And they did open Avengers Campus last week. So they are expanding the land, and they do have plans to do like an Arendelle. And have a whole, and so they're going to have a whole section that's going to push the park like further back and expand the footprint of the park. They had announced they were going to do a Galaxy's Edge for Star Wars. And I think it was supposed to be a full Galaxy's Edge like what we have in the American parks. And then it got scaled down to like, we're going to do kind of half of that. And then this week they announced like right as the excitement of Avengers Campus opening, they like quietly came out and said like, oh, we're not going to do Galaxy's Edge anymore. So I'm hoping that they do something else in its place, because it really is a half-day park over there. There's not a lot of attractions to do. The ones that they do have aren't very, like, they have Tower of Terror, and they have Crush's Coaster, which is similar to like Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewind, but they don't have a lot of like big attractions over there. So I think they do need to build that park out more to get people to spend more time just on property. But the things they do have are fun. So one of the other reasons I didn't get a lot of pictures in this park is by the time I took these pictures, you can see the sky is vastly different than how it was when I was at Disneyland. The skies just opened up, and it poured for probably 5 hours straight that day. So it was, and I wasn't prepared. I was in London for the whole week. I was like, I didn't pack a poncho. I didn't pack an umbrella. Well, I packed an umbrella, but I didn't bring it to the parks with me. And I wasn't expecting it to rain for a good chunk of the day. And so my friend was off doing something else, and I was like, well, what can I do to get out of the rain? Let me go wait in a ride queue. But I don't know which ride queues are like inside or outside. So I picked this one. It's like a little Slinky Dog ride, and it was fine. It was kind of sprinkling when I was in it. And then it starts really pouring. And like right before I get on the ride, it starts really, really pouring. And it's an outdoor ride. And it was just like a tiny little, it was a Slinky Dog. I forget the name of it, but it's a Slinky Dog ride. And it's just, the track itself is just a circle. It's tiny. And it's like the Slinky Dog ride vehicle we have. But the thing it's just a wave. And so it's a circle, and it like takes you up and down, and it just does that like 10 times or something. So I was absolutely soaked by the time we got off of that ride. But yeah, it was raining, so we just didn't take a lot of pictures, found a poncho, and just walked around and just, I didn't spend too much time in this park. I think probably all in all, maybe 2-3 hours there, and did a good majority. They do have Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, and it's identical. It's the exact same ride. So they have that. And then we explored downtown, or not downtown, Disney District, I believe it's called. I always forget. I don't have a picture of that one, but I think they're about to start updating that one as well, because it had like Hard Rock Hotel and just some older. They have the only Earl of Sandwich outside of the States there.
For all those Americans coming to visit, there's some place.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was what my friend told me ahead of time. And I was like, well, obviously I don't want to go eat there because I can eat that in Florida. It's okay. That's where we ate for lunch, because my friend has a gluten intolerance, and there's no really good, like, Disney's amazing. Disney in America, both parks are amazing at handling food restrictions. Disneyland Paris, it's bread everywhere. And so we just had a hard time getting food that she could eat. I think she ate like melon, a couple of slices of melon for breakfast and popcorn. And then we finally went to Earl of Sandwich, and they had gluten-free bread. And so she was able to eat there. But yeah, it was the food options. If you have restrictions, like, bring snacks, because it was very limited. We did not eat full meals that day.
No.
No.
And you have done other shows, information, because you have Princess and the Scoundrel. I know you did a show on there about Disneyland Paris, especially about getting there, right?
Yes, we broke down on that episode. We broke down like getting there, more about the lands of the park and the different rides and how they feel different, especially like the Star Wars stuff, different to what we have in America. And then, yeah, I mean, it was just kind of a recap of like comparing what we have to over there. But yeah, it was a whirlwind. Like I said, the fireworks weren't until 11 p.m. at night. And so we had to watch, I mean, not had to, but we wanted to watch that. And then I had to be at Heathrow Airport at like, my flight was at 9:30 in the morning. But because you're at the mercy of the train that takes you across, like takes you back, like if we had missed the train that we needed to get on, then it would have been really tight to get on my flight. We made it in like the nick of time. Like, they did not want to let us on that train, but they somehow were like, it's fine, just get on. But yeah, it was intense. It was a lot of not sleeping, but to be able to go experience one of the parks across, like, out of the country was just, you have to, if you have the opportunity to do it, like, take it, because it was so much fun to experience something new, but also feel like you're in somewhere familiar. Like, I think all of us that love Disney, when you go to these parks, you feel like there's a piece of you that's like at peace and at home. And so to be able to do that in a country where you've spent the last week not being around like the comforts of home, it just felt like, okay, I can relax a little bit here, and I can just go have fun and just be a kid and just, play in the rain, which is what we did most of the day.
That's good, though. That
Yeah.
information, all of Sarah's information is below, but including if you want more information about Disneyland Paris, and all the shows that they did with Princess and the Scoundrel, it is below in the show notes. So,
Thank you.
any other tips or anything else you want to leave everyone with?
I will say this, if you are a Star Wars fan and you are going to London for Star Wars Celebration that's going to take place in London next year, try to carve out time to go to Disneyland Paris, because their 30th anniversary ends at the end of April and Celebration is in the beginning of April. Go see the drone show, go see the parade that they do, because the parade that they have in Disneyland Paris is unlike any parade you've ever seen. They get off the floats and they come dance around the hub. And there's like 20 characters that come out. It's incredible. So if you have the chance to do it before April, go make it happen, because, oh my gosh, it's magical, just like any park.
That's good. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Sarah. Again, Sarah's information is all below, so you can also reach out to her, and we will see you next time. Thanks, Sarah.
Bye. Thank you.